Leo Durocher, former Major League player and manager, once said, "Baseball is like church. Many attend, few understand." Today, I'm going to try to help you understand baseball a little bit better by giving you a brief history. Although baseball's been around for well over 100 years and I can't fit everything in, I'll try to do a pretty good job of giving you the basics. So why should you listen to me? Well, I played baseball as soon as I could crawl, and I began playing organized baseball in 1986 when I started off in T-ball. I played every year after that until 1999 when I graduated high school. In the early 2000s, I did try out for the Detroit Tigers, which didn't work out. So I'm in college trying to get a job as a physical therapist assistant now. And for the last 3 years, I've coached my son's Little League team, and last year I also coached my daughter's T-ball team. So I am very exposed to baseball and enjoy the game a lot. Apparently, about 20 million people agree with me because that's about how many people watch the World Series annually. So my hope is that you'll learn a thing or two about baseball and maybe come to enjoy it as well if you're not already a fan. So let's start at the beginning. In 1839, Abner Doubleday invented the game of baseball. Between then and about 1903, the game evolved into how we know baseball to be today. If you were to go see a game today, it wouldn't look very much different from a game back in 1903. Prior to that, there were two leagues competing with one another, the National League and the American League. They really didn't have a whole lot to do with one another, with the exception of occasionally trying to steal a player from the other one's league. But in 1903, they decided to get together and see who had the better team in what we now know as the World Series. So between 1903 and 1969, the game really didn't change very much. Some players you might know from that era include Mickey Mantle, Babe Ruth, and Jackie Robinson. They're still commonly mentioned in music today. There's a lot of movies about them, a lot of miniseries and TV shows, so they're still relevant even though they played quite a while ago, so they're worth knowing about. And then something happened in 1969 that finally changed the game a little bit, where they expanded the playoff system and they had an American League Championship Series and a National League Championship Series. And the winner of those two series would be considered the champions of their league, and then they would meet up in the World Series. So the league expanded from 8 teams to 12 teams in 1969. Money continued to go up. The revenue for the teams and the players, everybody was making more money and doing well, but unfortunately, more money did lead to more problems. Players started having some major cocaine issues. According to sports.vice.com, a former player named Keith Hernandez said that as many as 40% of the players were using cocaine at that time, per his estimate. And this is in reference to the Pittsburgh drug trials, too, which really brought the issue to Major League Baseball's attention. It didn't really affect play in the field very much, though, so other than ruining some players' lives, Major League Baseball didn't really seem to care about the issue. So people continued to make money, and the game went on. And in 1994, the players decided they weren't making enough money compared to how much revenue was being brought in, and that the owners were getting to just keep it. The owners thought the players were being greedy by wanting more money, and the players thought the owners were being greedy by wanting to keep the money. So they were at a standoff, and nobody played baseball in 1994. There was no World Series, and this issue didn't get resolved until 1995. Needless to say, the fans were pretty upset with baseball, and some things needed to change. One of the things that changed was the format again. So in 1996, the American League had three divisions, the National League had three divisions, and the winner of each division got to advance to the playoffs. They also added what is called a wild card team, and that's the team that had the best record that didn't win their division, still got to go to the playoffs. So there would be a total of four teams in the American League, four teams in the National League. Those four teams would go down to 2-2. Those guys would play in the American League Championship and the National League Championship just like before. And then the winner would advance to play in the World Series just like they did back in 1903. So there was a problem though. Like I said, the fans were mad about the strike in 1995, and they decided they're not going to watch the games anymore. They're not going to come to the games anymore because they really viewed everybody as being greedy and selfish, and they were just upset with how everybody behaved during that strike. So according to Forbes magazine and Forbes.com, revenue dropped 20% after that 1995 strike, and baseball needed to do some things to draw interest back to their product. So what ended up happening was there was a really big home run chase in 1998. The home run chase was between Mark McGwire and Sammy Sosa, and the record they were chasing was Roger Maris's, who hit 61 home runs back in 1961. So, if you know the excitement that occurs in presidential election years, especially on that Tuesday when the election is happening, and that's all anybody can talk about, that's what the news is covering, that's just everywhere. Well, that's how this home run chase was, but it went on for months instead of just the week leading up to it or a single day. Anytime that one of these players were at bat, ESPN would interrupt their coverage just to show this player's at bat. It didn't matter if they were showing a different game or what was going on. They were interrupting to show live footage of these guys trying to break the home run record. And both of them did actually go on to break the record, but unfortunately, they were using performance enhancing drugs to do it. They were on human growth hormone, steroid, which was pretty rampant throughout the league. But Major League Baseball again turned a blind eye to it because it was helping them out. It was bringing eyes back to their product, and people were starting to watch again. And like I said, by 2013, their revenue had skyrocketed to about $8 billion. So, in review, I started off talking about the history of baseball back in 1903 in the American League and National League and how they began playing one another in the World Series. I brought you through the era up to 1969 and some of the players from that era. Talked about the cocaine problems that baseball had during the 70s and 80s, the strike of 1994, and that actually almost killed baseball. People weren't interested in it at all. But thanks to the home run chase, people began to watch baseball again and get excited about it. And today, baseball's still doing pretty well. So I hope you enjoyed the presentation. This is my works cited slide, and thanks for your time.